It's time for another episode of Lunch with Banks. And this time, I've not just got an amazing person. He was a player at one point. He's now the analyst. He's now Mr. Launders, also demo reviewer, YouTuber. Anything you don't do, mate?
I'm just trying to wear as many hats as you do, James.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're trying to follow the lead. I like that. I like that. We're gonna grab ourselves some food, right? Sit down. But you're quite good for your food, right? You're a healthier man on this kind of thing.
I'm learning. You know what I'm saying?
Other than the pizzas you constantly post on Twitter.
That's all a ruse, man. I cook 95% of my meals, actually.
So
I don't know why I'm trying to sell people into this bad diet.
Yeah, like what is that? You're like just trying to make us believe you're not really that healthy?
Well, that way, if the rest of the world is more unhealthy than me, then I look better, right? So.
We've got bolognese sauce in Turkey. All right. Food's not too bad considering, no?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan that I'm wearing a white shirt during this, I'll be honest.
Yeah, it makes it more exciting to watch.
What? To see how much I'm gonna spill?
Exactly.
See how bad this is gonna go.
I'm gonna go light. I'm actually getting too big. I'm getting too big.
Too big?
Yeah.
But you've been flexing on the cameras, man. I've been seeing you. The swollenness coming through.
Yeah, I got the Pasha follow back off that photo. That was all I was going for.
So, Launders, based out of Toronto.
Yeah.
You've been grinding for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Kind of similar in a way, like I would say, in how I came up. It's like you had some opportunities, then it got bigger at a certain point for you. But I want to come back to what it was like growing up in Toronto, because you did have a bit of a wild child life as well.
I'm a Toronto man at the end of the day. I don't really talk like I used to, I guess, like with all me and my friends. And I grew up like the real downtown lifestyle in Toronto. I walked to every single school I went to when I was growing up, you know, from my house, since I was 6 years old, basically. So every school, just whichever one was in reach. So all my friends went to the same elementary, all my friends followed me from the same elementary, same middle school, same high school. But the high school I went to, my mom didn't really know better, because you could pick any public school in Toronto, but the high school I went to is like a bottom 4% high school in Toronto. So there was a lot of violence.
Oh God.
You know? But I also met some great people. And the teachers that teach at these schools, you know, like they're some of the braver teachers in the city, right?
They're risking it.
And they care more too sometimes, so.
Yeah.
There's definitely bad stuff that comes with it, but like, it's one of those things, like the path that we got, you just can't see how you could get the same experiences on any other path. So even though it was kind of rough sometimes, it was still like, I feel like I wouldn't change it for anything.
I completely agree with you. You know, like these experiences, these ways we grew up, it makes us into who we are today. Could be for better, could be for worse, but like you can't change it. You just got to roll with it. But let's talk about like family life. What was that like for you? Do you have any brothers, sisters? Like, what was your relationship like with your parents?
Basically me and my mom, since I was just a kid. I met my dad, like, there was like some immigration problems, and my dad got sent back to Malaysia, and I only met him again when I was like 14.
Damn.
And honestly, we didn't really get along that well anyway, so.
Oh, because you're not that bothered.
Yeah, it was, you know, it's one of those things, like, people talk about like single parent households and how there's like all these issues with that, but like, I have an amazing relationship with my mom. Like,
I've seen the pictures.
We're like best friends, so
yeah.
You know, it was never an issue for me. She was so good. You know, one thing I always loved about it was that, like, now that I'm older, I realize this, but never once when I grew up did my mom ever bring up how much money we had. Like, even though she was working 2 jobs, and you know, when you're a kid, you wouldn't understand that yourself unless someone told you. She never reminded me of the money. So
that's interesting.
Now that I'm older, that's something that I really like respect looking back. She'll never take credit for it, but
you like didn't have that pressure on you as well, right? So it's like you just living and doing your thing. Now, Launders, the way I look at you is like you are a good kid. You have some wild takes on Twitter, but like, were you a good kid in school? Were you like you weren't like you are now? Here we go.
No, yeah. I remember I walked into 9th grade. My teacher, Mr. Williams, he was like, I was like his favorite student. Like, I was a smart kid when I walked into high school, but I didn't work hard at all.
Oh, no.
And halfway through the semester, he said, Mohan, when I met you, you were here.
Oh,
and now you're here.
Oh, no.
I was heartbroken.
That's disappointing,
I was
man.
heartbroken, man. And I hadn't realized it, but like, I started wearing the big ass t-shirts. I started hanging out with like certain kinds of people, and like, it was all just because of the environment. Like, I had to, you know what I mean? Just to survive. So that's the way it was. It didn't affect me, you know, who I was too much, but I never had respect for school. Like, it wasn't that cool to be, you know, someone who tried super hard and everything like that. So
because like for me, right, when I talk to you, I always consider you like super smart. So you do have that natural ability, but I guess the schooling was not something at the time where you're like, I want to focus on this.
yeah, I mean, I had good people around me, and I always try to be a good person. And no matter how bad things got, like all my friends were great. So like that's what's most important to me. You know, the education and stuff is you can learn if you want to. You know, if you're paying attention. So I don't think it all comes down to school personally.
So when did Counter-Strike come into your life? Like, what was the point where you discovered CS?
So, oh man, this is 1.6, like 1.5, 1.3. I played at
Good man.
internet cafes. Yeah, the culture in Toronto is that internet cafes had two posters. One was StarCraft and one was Counter-Strike.
Two great games.
Every single internet cafe in Toronto. So you'd get an overnight pass. It would cost like $7.
Love that price, by the way. Amazing.
Because it was always dead in the internet cafes. So like 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Yeah.
You just play whatever game. So you go on, play Dota, play Counter-Strike pubs, whatever it is. They had cheats installed on every PC in Counter-Strike, so we would play like LANs versus each other. Everybody had wall hacks on, spraying each other down on Fight, Ice World, and Pool Day, and we thought that was the best time in the world. So that's where I started with CS.
By the way, so Ice World, you know, Pool Day. If no one's seen those maps, they definitely need to check them out because they were like iconic classics for just mucking around with your friends and enjoying moments. I'm smiling because I remember those exact feelings of like doing that. But in terms of like looking at professional CS, because obviously if you think of back in those times, right, you got like Shagua, you know, when you look at the NOA lineup, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did you ever like look at these kind of players, or did you not really get into the competitive scene at that time?
I was playing StarCraft actually. I was trying to be a professional StarCraft player when I was 13 years old.
Or imagine we'd never met, you were just in StarCraft. You never went to CS.
So I was watching some StarCraft broadcasts. You know, I was watching people like Smix, I was watching people like Artosis, Apollo, a lot of these guys while I was growing up, and I was more focused on actually competing in that game. I really loved it. But then I started playing against Koreans and I was like, I'm never gonna be pro. Like, I literally played like 2 scrims against Koreans and I was like, I'm never going to be good at this game. Like, that's when I realized. And all the while though, everybody who played StarCraft played Counter-Strike on the side. It was the de-stress game. You play Op India, you play like Ice World, you play KZ maps. So it was a perfect game to log on because you could play for 20 minutes and like kill time and have no stress and chill. Like, play Militia Deathmatch for a while, play Warcraft 3 mod, you know what I mean?
Oh, hell yeah.
But I never followed the pro scene back then. But I did see clips like the Shagwire, What Up Now screen. Like, I've seen clips like that even while I was playing StarCraft, just because they were that big.
But then you did compete in Counter-Strike, right? And then you nearly made it to ESEA Premier, right?
Yeah, so when I started CSGO, I basically after 1.6, I thought it ended when Source came out.
My man.
Bullets falling out of the gun, everybody hunched over,
Yeah.
broken movement mechanics. And I was like, I thought Counter-Strike was gonna die. So I quit, I went to school. I came back, I was like 22 years old. And at that point, I didn't think like I could be a pro starting at 22 in CSGO. And I also just love movement. So I was just playing KZ for my first like 4,000 hours. And then I started making the movement videos and stuff like that.
Wait a second, 4,000 hours you were just making? Jesus.
I love this shit. Like all night I'd be sitting there long jumping from block to block, just going back and forth until I had carpal tunnel, you know.
Oh man.
But then I started playing like on a team and I was like, damn it, this is really fun. Like I actually loved it. And I waited so long to try IGLing. I played 1 season as an IGL. It was a main season. We were 1 map off of making premieres, my first season as an IGL. And then we didn't make it because I had to travel to cast my first LAN.
Oh, so you were mixing both at this point?
Yeah.
Damn, okay.
So it was almost symbolic. Like it was a moment where I had to decide if I was going to be a content creator or I was going to try playing another season. And I decided that I had the thing I was looking for originally, which was actually just do content right there, or this idea of, you know, starting to become a pro when I'm like 23, 24. It didn't really make sense to me. You know, growing up at 13 trying to be a pro in StarCraft, I'm like, I'm already 10 years behind. There's people who have been grinding. There's Monacy's out there waiting for me. I don't want that smoke. So I would rather be a commentator. And I've also seen that commentators in all sports, they get better the older they get, you know, all the way into their 40s, 50s. Like, they just sound better and better. So that appealed to me as well.
Nice.
So then I just quit.
That first team though that you played on, right, you nearly made it to Premier. Like, do you look at that time as like a nice bit of learning in it, good fun, or did you take it like so seriously that it was like quite stressful?
There is a point where, you know this, where you're playing and it's no longer fun, like at all. It is just work. You log on, you scrim. The only enjoyment you get is when you win. You put 80% of your time into preparation and scrims. No one ever hears about that. You play one match on CSGO Lounge, you lose, and then everybody sends you death threats. It sucks, but it's for the glory, right? You win, it all pays off every once in a while, and that part's great. And it also is like the absolute best way to learn the game. Like still 90% of the stuff that I've learned about, the things I talk about now when I conceptualize the game is from when I was playing and like really grinding out every single type of engagement, all the nades would use, the philosophy of maps, all that stuff has stuck around from the time that I spent playing. And back then I did play with Stewie actually.
Oh!
It was right before he went to play on Cloud9. I got into CEVO Pro placements because we got second place in main in CEVO. And then Stewie joined the team to play like a few matches of pro placement and then went on to play on Cloud9 after that. And those matches are still on YouTube.
So what you're telling me is you had a role to play in Stewie's career getting him on Cloud9 now.
No Stewie, no Stewie, no me, or no me, no Stewie, I don't know.
A match made in heaven, friendship forever. Okay, so you then get this opportunity, right, to go cast your first event. What event was this? What were you doing? What was the opportunity? How did it even come out?
Oh yeah, so Mark Winter, shout out Mark Winter.
Yes.
He raised us all, you know what I mean?
Old school legend.
Yeah, we're the DreamHack Open graduation class, and it's cool because we're all here at the major, all of us who came out of the opens, and Mark Winter hit me up. Actually, it's out of an MLG too. There were a couple events at once. It was the MLG Minors and the DreamHack Open Austin, which was the first NA event that they did. And then they got me and Helium Umbrella, who's now a replay for Blast.
Yep.
And worked on E-League as well. We were casting together, so I went out there to cast that event. And while we were at the event, he liked our casting so much, he was like, hey, do you want to come to Europe to do the European Minors the next week? And I've never been to Europe before.
Oh shit.
That was my first time ever. That was in 2015.
How old are you now?
I'm 31 now.
No, but like at this time.
Oh, I was 25.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was pretty like huge. And it was to go to like Paris, which is, now that I've seen like a lot of Europe, like Paris is one of the most impressive cities to see like when you first land, right? And I remember telling Mark that I'm gonna go to the events while there was a scheduling conflict. I had to come back to cast the NA Minors the next week.
No.
And I didn't even have time to do it, but I just told Mark yes. And then I went to the hotel room with Joey and I said I agreed for us to go and do the European Minors and then come back to the NA Minors even though we can't schedule it. And then we called MLG and we're like, look, we're gonna miss a day, we're gonna fly in late, but we have to go do this. And then we made it happen, and then that's when I did my first string of events.
That's crazy. That's a really cool story as well, man. Like Mark, for me, in the 1.6 days, he was working for HLTV, I was working for another website, we're doing interviews and stuff, like, he's been putting in the grind, but he's always giving good people opportunities, man.
Yeah.
So shout out to him for real. Now, after that though, you have this bits where you're commentating, you're changing partners as well, you're also being an analyst at some point. Then you had this moment as well when you're working for like Yahoo.
Yeah.
So, you said many hats we were talking about.
Yeah.
You seem to have been doing it all. Was this just like you wanted to grab every opportunity and see what was best fitting for you, or did you have an end goal in mind?
I think this is in the same way that we can both relate a little bit, where you don't want to leave money on the table, number one.
Yeah.
And if you can take it as a new challenge, as something that's in your wheelhouse and can open up doors in the future, like you want to try it. But you want to be careful not to like take an opportunity that's going to shut everything off that you already have. That's really great. So Yahoo was kind of that. Like I wasn't able to travel to all the lands from there, so I couldn't really be a commentator.
Okay.
But man, that job was amazing. Like, working for a company that, of that size, a Fortune 500 company, and understanding the full corporate lifestyle and what it's like down there in Silicon Valley and how everything operates, and getting to understand like that structure was really good for me, because I've always hated my experiences in the past, working for people.
Yeah.
I've had all the shit jobs in the world, right? As a butcher, a telemarketer, construction worker, like everything, right? And I thought, my life, I never want to work for someone. I always want to work for myself. I made my own YouTube channel. I want to be a streamer. I want to be a freelance commentator. I don't want to be held down. But that showed me that it can be good, actually. And they can take a lot of stress out of your life. They can cover your insurance. They can take care of the tech stuff. They can pay you the money you ask for. And you can just focus on what you love. And then they can give you tools like videographers and everything like that.
Obviously, when Yahoo ended though, Were you bothered, considering you like said you didn't really want to do it? Was it just like this was a great experience? Were you sad? How did it feel? Because obviously, if you start to enjoy it, then you think, oh no, it's gone.
Yeah. Well, if I meet good people, I always keep them with me. And everybody I met at Yahoo, I still talk to all the time. In fact, 2 of them are on the board of my corporation in Boxer.
Nice.
And they run my company, and they're the smartest people I know. And so it's like nothing changed. Everybody who I still love at Yahoo, I still keep close contact with. And I tell Travis to restart Yahoo Esports every day. I message him. I say, let's run it back. Yeah.
Maybe you could now, you know?
Yeah.
You might be ahead of the curve. But what was it like moving from Toronto, leaving your family, then moving to America? How was that whole experience? Because like, I'm someone who's moved and lived in different countries, but some people just can't handle it, you know?
Yeah.
But you seem like quite the guy to be able to move around anyway. But obviously then I think about the relationship with your mum.
Yeah. I didn't want to be too far from her because it's always just been me and her.
Yeah.
You know, our parents are getting older now, so it's like,
oh, yes.
you just get worried. Like, you don't know, what can happen. And we're at the age where some of our friends, things are happening to them and their parents, and you never want to have that regretful moment where you just weren't there when you could have been. So, and I left, I was pretty worried. My mom was totally fine with me leaving. She just tried to scare me a bit because she's taken care of my ass for so long, like doing laundry, cooking all my meals, everything like that. She's like, you're not gonna be able to handle it by yourself. Honestly, it was easy as hell, dude. I had to do laundry once a week, clean up here and there, and cooking is actually super fun, so.
Yeah, you like your food and cooking.
Yeah, but it's important to move out on your own. Like, you have to learn how to do these things, and life is way better. And now, I can't live with anybody. I need to be able to walk around naked whenever I want, sleep on sofas and beds, cook whatever meals I need, have my fridge stocked at all time. No one finishes the orange juice, right?
I'm in control of the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's then go now fast forwarding towards the commentary roles, because what you did, you went into commentary, then you went onto the Yahoo side, you were doing some analyst work as well, and you were trying multiple roles, but then Scrawny comes into your life. Talk to me through that bit, because that's what most people are going to know you guys for.
Yeah. So this is, a lot of people don't know this, but this is something I did on purpose. I was bouncing around as an analyst and commentator, which a lot of people do, but I recognized that hiring pairs, I think this was brought up actually by Moses in some interview, which I never give him credit for, but I just read this headline. I think it was even before I knew him, but he just said, like, it's more attractive for TOs to hire commentators who are duos. And I was like, I can do color commentary, but every time I go to an event, I'm like, hey, I'll do commentator. They're like, oh, who do you want to cast with? And then it's a headache for the TO to say, oh, like, here's a commentator you could cast with, let's pair you together, or instead you'll just do the desk. So I said, okay, let me grab this by the horns and do this myself. I want to be a color commentator. Let me find a play-by-play. So I was on Twitch one day, and I saw Scrawny casting to like 10 viewers to like some ESEA Premier match.
How did you find it with just 10 viewers?
I was literally browsing. I didn't even do it that often. He was just casting MDL or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was casting like so well that I was thinking, man, if I was casting at 10 viewers, I'd be casting like shit, and I'd probably be taking as many breaks as I wanted to. And I just respected that he was casting like the room was full.
He was grinding.
Yeah, and I was like, if somebody doesn't pick this kid up, I'm gonna compete against him one day. So that's when I was like, okay, I looked out for him, and then I actually met him at a LAN in Toronto, and I got him to cast the finals with us at, it was Northern Arena, Toronto.
I remember, yeah.
And then we got him to try cast the finals, me and Vans. And then we started to pair together for future events, and it ended up working out really well.
Did it matter to you that your co-commentator needed to be a Canadian or something, or was that just something that happened because he was the right fit for you?
It was incidental,
Yeah.
But yeah, the cultural things like players talk about with teams and stuff, I mean, it helps a little bit. I've noticed that all of my favorite teammates I've ever played with were Canadians, so you know what I mean? Americans okay, but you know what I'm saying?
Canadians just nicer.
I mean, Twist is on FaZe, like, there ain't no Americans on FaZe, that's all I'm saying.
This is very true, very true. But also there's an age gap between you and Scrawny as well, but I feel like he's quite mature in the sense that you guys can have a lot of the same understanding and interest, which I think is quite rare, because if you look at most duos, they are kind of similar in age.
Yeah, and when it comes to pop culture, when we have shows we're watching, even life problems as we grow up, me and Scrawny actually have similar moms, like in personality, in affect, and in supportiveness, like in a lot of ways, in some weird ways we didn't expect. We actually have a lot of similarities with our families. So we have some a lot more stuff under the hood that we just found out about after that we can talk about and kind of connect with. And we've talked about this before. There are relationships in Counter-Strike and all sports and all esports where commentators are not friends. They are co-commentators as professionals, and that's it. And that's fine. But we said if we weren't friends, we wouldn't want to commentate together.
You spend so much time together, you're on the road all the time together, you know?
I think a huge part about the way that we cast especially is that we talk to each other in the cast, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We want to create a feel that it is just like you're watching it with us on a couch, and when the moments get big, we take a lot more focus and make it more epic. But in the slow moments leading up to that, we want it to be this friendly environment where we're vibing, just, you know, and not trying to find things to say. Yeah, we're at the point where we can like not say anything and it's totally comfortable.
Now, you guys are in a very unique situation, which like some other duos have not been fortunate enough to be in. And you go to Blast, right? And they don't look to make the most well-known duo as like the top tier one, you know, the one that's doing all the finals, all the big events. Blast brings you guys on and they completely trust you guys. You are the mainstays, right? You're the ones that are always there.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Like, what does it feel like to you? Because like, when you look at it probably from the outside, it's such a unique and amazing opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, they had bad taste at first. I was such a bad commentator when they first gave me the job. I've done every single Blast since Blast Assemble 2018. So like that one-off they did in 2017, I wasn't there. But Nicholas Estrip, I believe, emailed me after I did a CS Summit in that same year and gave me the first 3 Blast events. And we were like, hell yeah, we'll do this. Like, cool, new, exciting TO. And they immediately gave us the grand finals of the first event. And again, I don't think we were that good. Again, I don't think we were good at all.
Okay.
You know, I think I can say with confidence now we are good. And I'm not going to ever underrate myself. I'm always going to try to be honest. I was bad in 2018, okay? So I'm proud of like how much we've come up, but I'm also just thankful because we also wouldn't have gotten good if not for Blast putting us on that early.
Trial by fire,
so
bro.
maybe they could see something in me that I couldn't even see in myself.
For real, for real. And now the rest is history, right? You've done all the big Blast events, you've constantly been on the front of it, you have been in the big arenas. What is it like now though, where you're sat here and you finally got a major where many people would have thought, yeah, you guys deserved a major in the past. Like, I know for you personally, you don't have that kind of, oh, I deserve it, or I should have got it. You just take things as it comes with how I know you.
Yeah.
But it's like, what's it feel like right now? How happy are you to be here?
Yeah, it's so surreal. Like, it's the biggest stage. It's the event, it's the capstone event of the year. It's the event that I literally have gone home to look forward to watching every single year, even as a caster, since I have started casting in 2014. So I have never expected to get to a major. And now I'm not at home watching it on my stream, making content and just tweeting about it. I'm literally casting it. So wrapping my head around that is still a process. Like it's, you know, it feels a little strange.
I always like, okay, I've worked a couple now, but it's like, I never feel when I'm at the major, that I'm working the major, it's only when I go home and I see clips or stuff after. It's like, even when we put out content this event, I'm like, oh yeah, it's just another event. I'm really enjoying it, but it's when you get home, I'm like, oh damn, yeah, that was the major, like the whole thing sings.
You know, having the games in the game, the graffiti moments, the moments that are unilaterally talked about throughout history, all happen at majors, the ones that will be remembered. Whether it's, you know, Olaf defusing in a smoke, Coldzera's jumping off 4K, or defusing in a molly, Coldzera's jumping off 4K, Simple dropping out of cash heaven for the 1v2, you know, like, they have to happen at majors. So this is our only chance to be a part of moments like that, and that's the craziest part of all I do.
Yeah. Now, last thing, Mr. Coach Lau, the content king right now. You are grinding like crazy on that side of things, but you seem to really enjoy it, and you built quite a cool community. So what's all that like?
Yeah, well, I told myself that like, if commentary was ever taken away from me, that I would have something that couldn't be. So that's YouTube. So that's why I love doing YouTube. I have full control over it. It's also a place where I practice my craft, where I practice doing storylines, narratives. I watch the demos, so I get the...
It's like your research, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I fold it in and then monetize that shit, you know what I mean? So I get to watch the players. I love watching the demos already. So now I get to watch it with people. Everyone gets to talk about it. And then a lot of the stuff I talk about in casts, I've talked about in the YouTube video that just came out about that same player. So it's a nice way to fold everything in together and have my own product on the side.
I'm going to call it the launders ecosystem that you've created for yourself in a very nice way. You've come a long way, man. You should be proud. It's nice to hear some of your story. Well done. You got your major. It's always a pleasure working with you, and thank you for your time. Well, I ate all my food. You did all the talking.
I'm about to destroy this.
I know it. Bye, brother.
All right.